Let's go to that Nebraska-Colorado game. Nebraska beats Colorado 28-10. Maybe it wasn't even that close. Let's start with Colorado first. This looks like the exact same team from last year. This is a team that is maddeningly boring on offense and an offensive line that really struggles in protection. In fact, it's the elephant in the room that even their head coach has to at least address.
Just simply, why was it so difficult for the offense to respond to Nebraska's defense?
I have no idea. We would have known that answer. I think we would have responded quicker. Yeah, we seemed like we just never got it going until it was too late. Seemed like we just never got it going. Protections were a problem. I'm trying to be polite and say it because, if I can say the same thing you're thinking, but if I say it, you say I'm throwing my guys up under the bus. I'm not doing that whatsoever. Protection were a problem. We got to figure out a way to prevent that and do a better job with that.
Yes, they've got to figure out a better way to protect the quarterback. The O-line is not any better. I thought that they were going to be better, and they're not any better. They're virtually the exact same offensive line, not in terms of names, but in terms of play. That this is a carbon copy of what we saw a year ago. Shedeur has not even a second to read the defense. There are times that he holds the ball, but it's not often. He's just constantly under duress. 7 sacks allowed. Last year they allowed 8. I will say this. Overall, is the team exactly the same? No. The defense plays harder and plays better than they did a year ago. For the second straight game, they didn't give up any points in the second half and at least gave themselves a chance. But the offense, man, the offensive plan is just so uninspired and totally unsustainable. Totally unsustainable. Let's say it this way. Like when you see and watch and feel the best offenses in college football, generally what you see is teams that put the defense in conflict, and they do it both before the snap and after the snap. And this is what the great play callers do. So let's just kind of take a couple of examples out there. Lincoln Riley, I think that he's one of the better offensive coaches. I think Kalen DeBoer is a great offensive coach. I think Steve Sarkisian's a great offensive coach. Lane Kiffin, Ryan Day, who now has Chip Kelly. So those guys. So what do those offenses have in common that I just mentioned right there? Movement. Okay, so pre-snap, you've got to make the defense work. You've got to change your structure. You've got to change what they're looking at. You've got to present movement. You've got to present shifts and motions, not only for your benefit to gain an advantage, but in terms of, leverage, recognition of coverage and structure on the other side. But it's also just difficult for them. It's difficult for them to really zero in on how they want to pressure, when they want to pressure, from which side they want to pressure. You've got to get them to declare their strength. Do they want to be a passing strength team or do they want to be a run strength team? You've got to have the ability to do all of these things because pre-snapped conflict is difficult on the defense. It just is. And in fact, every defense in college football does this. Very few times do great offenses just stand static in one formation and call plays. It's a 2-by-2 formation or it's a 3-by-1 formation. So if you're not moving and creating conflict pre-snap, I don't think that the players are in position to succeed. Okay, in particular, if you're not going to have the best players on the field, it also helps in protection too because you can change a lot of things up. Then post-snap, the conflict has to arrive in things like, is it a run? Is it a pass? Is it an RPO? How are we putting a defender in brackets? Are we bracketing in the passing game? Are we running progression reads? There's so many different things that an offense can do in order to put the defense in conflict or single defenders in conflict. And I just don't feel like Colorado does that. It's very static. It's very uninspired. There's very little creativity in the run game. And all of that winds up putting your quarterback on a tee. It's too difficult. Everyone knows what protections are coming. It's either a 5-man or a 6-man protection with the back either inserting in the A gap, taking the Mike linebacker, or off the edge. So like these protections aren't fooling anybody. There's no run action pass. There's no play action pass. There's no half rolls in the pocket. There's no full rolls. There's no getting the quarterback totally outside of the pocket. There's no easy throws. Colorado's offense has to change, and it's got to become more inspired, or else what's happening, a static offense that puts a quarterback on a tee, is totally unsustainable. And I think that they know that. Pat Shurmur is the offensive coordinator. I think that he knows that. Pat's an NFL guy and an old school guy. And the guys that I mentioned in college football are more new school. I think he needs to get more into the movement, in particular before the snap, and to help that offense out. Nebraska, I thought that was an incredibly cool thing to see, that environment. That fan base has been begging for something that's real for the better part of, let's face it, what do you think, Husker fans, like 2 decades? And guess what? You've been coming every single Saturday in those 2 decades. This was the 398th straight sellout at Memorial Stadium. I played there twice. Incredible environment. You got one of the best fan bases in college football. Obviously, I played at Colorado, and I was raised to not like Nebraska. That was our rival. That was our red letter game. But the thing about it is, some rivals are your rival because of an immense amount of respect, because that they held the standard. And that was certainly my childhood through the 80s and 90s. Nebraska was the standard in college football. And their fan bases just have been desperate, hungry for anything that resembles that. And at this point, they're like, just give us something competitive. Just give us something that is not in the middle of our conference. We are a proud program, and they are. And they are. And now they've got something that they can be proud of. I'm here to tell you that what I was saying in the preseason is coming to fruition during the regular season. Nebraska is going to be an issue for people. Now, is Colorado a great team? Not sure. Might be a 5-win team, might be a 6-win team, maybe a 4-win team. But Dylan Raiola is very talented. That's a quarterback that does not look like a true freshman. The way that he moves, his arm talent from every angle, his accuracy, his ability to go down the field, he did not look rattled at any point. And it wasn't just because of the lack of pressure in his face. That's just his nature. So Raiola is doing exactly what he needs to do. I've been arguing that all he needs to do is be a net positive for Nebraska. He's more than a net positive for Nebraska. He's becoming a factor. Now, he got away with that ball that you're watching on YouTube over the middle, but he doesn't get away with a lot. He knows where to go with the ball, and I like his game. And the defense, I thought, is real, and I knew that they were going to be real coming into this. This team, now all they need to do is continue to win the games that they should win. All right, what we've seen from Nebraska in the past is that they play these games and it's like, why are they in a 3-point game? And then they would fail in terms of game situation, late in games, and they would lose. And they would lose games that they shouldn't lose constantly, 1-score games. In fact, they did it last year. Remember, and I keep telling you about this, they played 5 1-score games, turned the ball over 17 times in those games, 14 of them by the quarterback. I believe those numbers are right. And if they're not, they're off by like maybe 1. They lost those games because of turnovers. If they just turn the turnovers into ball security, then they're going to be dangerous. They just need to show up every single week and look like the team that played against Colorado. You could tell they were highly motivated. They played like it. And I'm here to say that, like, I'm excited for it. I'm very excited that Nebraska is back because that fan base deserves it.
Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.